Oh, the office is hot today, guys. Welcome back to Raw Focus. I'm Jeramie. I'm your host for today. Well, for always. This is my podcast, so I'm always going to be your host. And it's what's today? What is today? Today is Thursday, the 23rd of July. I have my first wedding happening in 2 days from now, guys. Oh my god, like, so I filmed these two. I filmed the podcast, so I throw it on YouTube, and the lighting or whatever Zoom's doing today is making my face look very like sheeny and shiny, and I do not like it. So guys, I am doing my first wedding, and I'm super nervous, having those wedding dreams again. Normally by this time of the year, I've probably done like 14, 15 weddings, and I've done maybe two since the beginning of the year. And so it's a big wedding. They ended up to keep everything the same, meaning that they didn't change the date, they didn't change the amount of guests or anything. And so I am very nervous to do this wedding. This looks better. This is my actual face. And we're going to see how it goes. It's going to be great. We're going to have a good time. But oh my God, like, I'm having the dreams. And after that, we get a week off. We're going on a little vacation. So super excited about it. So guys, we just got done chatting with Brian Williams. He's oh God, what is he? The owner, president, founder, Think Kindness. And I first met Brian. Actually, I didn't even meet him. I bought tickets to an event for a charity, and we went to a warehouse, watched a movie on shoes being donated from Reno, getting all the way to Africa, where that donation goes, and a full circle kind of thing. And it was really cool. Donated, had some beers, had some drinks, met some people, and it was awesome. Cut a few years later, Brian comes in a hatch. We're talking about photography, underwater photography particularly, and just kind of know him. So me and him chat a lot on social media, kind of talk, but I really didn't know anything about him. And you can kind of tell in this because I ask a lot of questions on life, family, and all that. And, I'm unsure of a few things. And that's kind of why I started these podcasts, because I don't do much research on these people. I kind of want to learn as you learn. And that's ultimately where it starts. So, guys, this guy is positive, amazing. He's doing things for the community, and Reno is lucky to have him. So I want you guys to give him a little listen, follow some of the things that he says, and some of the places that he's linked. But there's a lot of cool stuff happening, and he's doing a lot of stuff for our kids in our area. So check him out. Guys, without further ado, thank you for joining Raw Focus. Here is Brian Williams.
How are you doing, man?
Good. Just felt like I was running around all day today. Thanks for pushing it back a little bit for me.
Yeah, no worries. Let's see, speaker. Okay, now talk.
Yo, 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 yo.
There we go. Okay, what's better, this audio? Oh, that's a built-in microphone. Okay.
The one you have on sounds good.
Yeah, let's. Okay, here's another one. Check, 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 check.
Nope, the other one's better.
The other one's better. Okay, or.
Bang, bang. Type this. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Oh, something's happening.
Okay, that was weird.
Just changing around. What'd you do today?
Cool. I've just been trying to market like the son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so hold on, let me get my coffee.
Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, schools now are just slowly getting back
Right.
into session. So just trying to pound out as much marketing as we can, as no one knows exactly what they're doing.
So is that a big market for you guys doing the presentations at the schools?
Yeah, for me, it's huge. Like, normally I'll probably have normally I have probably like 45 gigs booked already.
Right.
and I've got maybe 12, so, but it's mostly because schools just don't know what they're doing. Like even Clark County just announced that they're going virtual, and I'm sure Washoe County is going to go virtual.
Right.
So, which is
Yeah,
going to,
we go to Doral, which you've been to, up by Galena.
yep.
And so I remember my daughter Chloe telling me that she saw this ninja guy,
Yeah.
and then there was a picture of you. But I mean, it's huge for them, but they don't know what they're going to do. I think we're doing like half online learning, option to full learning, and then option to actually go into school like normally. So I don't know what they're going to end up doing when they do it. So we'll have to see. But that's tough.
Yeah, there's not a simple solution, no matter which direction you go.
Right.
It's a difficult scenario. So I recognize that, and it's not just Washoe County. I'm hearing from schools all over the country and even around the world.
Right.
And so that's the beautiful thing about going virtual is now, we're working with schools in Singapore and the UAE and Australia and the UK, and now we can still bring these programs over to those schools that normally, obviously, just be cost prohibitive.
Wait. So where all do you go? Do you go all over the world normally? I mean, now I know we have the virtual thing, so which means you have access to more areas. But where do you travel normally?
All coast to coast. So I would say in Reno, I'd say only about 10% of our schools is in Reno. Maybe even less, maybe like 5 to 6% in Reno. And most of them. So last year, our team did about 185 schools. We visited 185 schools from coast to coast. So a majority in New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Texas, Washington, Florida, Alaska, Hawaii, all over. So normally we're on the road constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so I know that it's not happening now, but so you were talking about marketing, but like, what are you doing to market, or do you feel like it's a little bit of a chance to kind of reset, if you will, for everything you guys are doing?
I think it's a mixture of both. I always welcome these adversity challenges because I think you grow. It lets you kind of reevaluate your business. Even though we're a nonprofit, technically, it's still a business. Right. And so it makes you reevaluate everything. It makes you reevaluate what you're doing marketing and to find the holes, but also find other opportunities. And so I think for us doing the virtual assemblies, number one, I noticed that there's no one that's really owning the virtual keynote experiences for schools. Right. And so one, that creates opportunity. So we look at like, well, if we were going to step into that space, how do we take it and deliver it at the next level versus, someone's just going to pop up a webcam in their home office.
Yeah. And just talk about whatever.
Exactly. And the coolest part that I see, the biggest opportunity that I see is about 70% of the booking leads that we get cannot afford an assembly. So when you figure that we did 180 schools last year, you got to figure that there's several hundred schools that still inquired about us having and coming to their school, but they couldn't afford it, whether it's the travel, all of those things. And so by going virtual, it now allows us to create a scalable model to impact schools regardless of where you're at. So that part's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but from a marketing standpoint, it's tough. Principals don't know their budget. They're busy dealing with, staffing issues, virtual learning and spacing and, all of these different things. So a back to school assembly, or program it's high on their list because school culture right now, it's going to be one of the most important back to school years in our lifetime, where students have gone months and months and months from being with each other. So that offers a great opportunity for principals because they can maybe start off fresh, where every student's going to come back excited to be with their kids.
They're all ready to go right now. I mean, school is all, I mean, it's weird, right, to think about that. I mean, I know after summer, we're always excited to go back, but like now it's like been the longest summer ever.
Totally. But on the same point, it's also the whole inclusion part, there's so much division in our country, not getting into politics or anything, but there's still division. And so how do you bring students together? Because for some students, going to school is kind of an escape from whatever they're dealing with in their home life. And that's the biggest thing that breaks my heart, is that, yeah, kids are learning virtually, but for some kids, their home environment is not the most positive. And so by them going to school, it's the one, they're able to escape that home environment. And so that breaks my heart. But at the same point, it also gives us an opportunity to hopefully figure out a way that we could build that school community, whether it's they're in school or they're doing it virtually. It's an interesting problem.
Yeah, you have a very positive outlook, and I think that's your whole thing. And me and my kids, they have a positive home environment, but being able to go out and do something, sometimes school is like the only thing they get to go out and do. I know when I was a kid, it was just school, and then I ended up working when I was in like 8th grade. And then that's how I got out too, because it was literally school and nothing. We didn't do basketball. We didn't have football. My dad didn't put us in anything. So if I wanted to get out and actually see people, it was school. Otherwise, go home, play video games. And that's just how Asians were back then. We just kind of stayed away from everybody. And I don't want that for my kids. So we put them as many things as we can, but now that's all being kind of taken away too. So yeah, school is huge. I want to touch base back into this. I'm not sure if you've seen any of these podcasts, and I don't anticipate people do, but the reason I started this podcast was I feel like I know a lot of people, but I don't know these people. So I know you through Think Kindness, the Ninja, what is it called?
The Kindness Ninja.
Yeah, Kindness Ninja.
Yep.
I think through the shoe organization you did, where you guys like sent shoes out. That's how I originally heard about you. I went to a little a charity movie or something. I bought some tickets from a friend, and I had no idea what I was doing. It was just in a warehouse, and it was super cool. But that's how I kind of heard about you at first. But really what I know about you is stuff like that. And I kind of want to get into how you became about, and let's put a little bit of personality into what you do. So, are you from here?
Yeah. I'm born and raised here in Reno.
Cool.
And I grew up in martial arts ever since I was a tiny little kid, right on McCarran and Longley at West Coast Martial Arts. No longer there anymore. But and so I started martial arts when I was 5. And in martial arts, we learned that kindness was the ultimate form of self-defense. And so that kind of was one of the sparks on us starting Think Kindness, but it really didn't hit till obviously decades later. I went to UNR, and I went to their business school. And while I was at UNR, I was in the American their AMC, their marketing competition class. And and during that class, basically they take half marketing majors and half advertising majors, and you participate in a national competition where you get a national client. For us, it was the Toyota Matrix, and you have to create a full-blown national ad campaign, and you work your butts off at it.
Right.
And we ended up winning. And which was the first time any team on the West Coast, and you're competing against Harvard, Stanford, Pepperdine, Berkeley, big schools. And so we ended up winning the competition. And I was the only one that went, during the finals, as you're presenting to the executives at Toyota, Saatchi, Procter & Gamble, that I'd shake their hand and hand them a resume, shake their hand, hand them a resume. And so I got all these job offers, which was awesome. And so at the time I'm, immature and 21. I'm like, why would I finish school when I'm getting these job offers, right? So I up and moved to Southern California.
You dropped out?
I did, yeah. It was supposed to be like a
break,
sabbatical.
Right? Yeah.
But then you end up meeting a girl and, living in LA, and, what turned out to be 6 months, I know. And so while I was there, I worked at the Blake Mycoskie, the guy that started Tom's Shoes. He, at the time, before Tom's, he started a all reality cable network. So I was their marketing director. They got bought out by Fox, and I was a marketing director for a really big fitness gym down there, Equinox. And then I moved to being a marketing director for the largest commodity brokerage firm in Southern California, and then also taught martial arts. And so all of this was before the age of 24 or 25.
Wait, how did you get into you just knew these people, or you just ran into them while you were there?
partly the LA style, I guess. I'd go
Right.
one thing naturally, organically led to the other. So I worked out at a gym, and then, one thing led to the other to an interview. And then
That's
I got that job.
crazy.
At the gym, I taught martial arts. Even though I was the marketing director at night, I still want to work out. I'm like, hey, let me teach a kickboxing class. And then,
Totally.
the owner of the commodity spot was like, hey, we've never had a marketing director. And so they offered me more money and I left. And so one thing just naturally led to the other. And what I
Right.
realized during that time is like a suit and tie job was just not for me. And my dad got sick. And so I kind of had to reevaluate kind of what I was doing down there. And if I really felt called to be down there long term. Was this just
Okay.
like a stint to gain experience, or was it where could I gain the same experience back home, when you're away from your family? And I
Right.
know family is really important to you. It's really important to me. So I up and left and came back to Reno. At the time, I still had a full ride scholarship at UNR that was still in my account. So I went back to school,
Nice. How old
finished
were
the
you when you came
degree.
back then?
27,
Okay.
27, 28.
So a
And
good amount of time, right?
yeah, good amount of time. And then I was just going part-time. And then I started working. I ran the group home for Rite of Passage. And so Rite of Passage, for anyone that's watching and doesn't know, they work with a lot of troubled teens from around the
Right.
country. So a lot of these kids have aged, or either not aged out, but they were in so much trouble that the juvenile system where they were at couldn't contain them. And so then the
Right.
judges basically say, you either graduate from Rite of Passage or we're going to try you as an adult. So you're getting that type of student.
Okay.
And so then I ran their group home up in Tahoe. So we'd have Norteños, Sureños, Bloods, and Crips. You throw them in a house in Tahoe and you tell them
Oh,
all to get along. And in that time, it was awesome for me because one, I got to live up in Tahoe, 4 days a week. And then, the other
right.
days off, I'd go to school. But I noticed that when we would have them do kindness, acts of kindness and bring them into school, that they discovered this ability for them to change someone else's life. And once they found that they had the ability to positively impact someone's life versus catering to the negative and reinforcing the positive, it created this shift. And that's kind of where I think kindness was kind of born. And then we decided as a team, we would do a big kindness challenge. And so
Right.
in 2009, we said, well, let's do a school tour. And so I had them help me plan it. So we did Damani, Minogue, Fernley High School, a
Right.
small handful of elementary schools, and we had this big kindness challenge. And then in the high schools, we wanted them to collect shoes. And so we set a goal to collect 5,000 shoes. We collected 8, and then we went to Africa, and then we turned it into a nonprofit, and
So
the rest is
why
history.
the shoes? Why the shoe? Like, is that because of the guy you met with Tom's, or why? How did you pick this? Because it's very specific, and I know you're still doing it to this day, or has it slowed
Yep.
down a little bit?
Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah. I
why
mean,
shoes?
it sparked it with Blake and Tom's, or at least the issue with shoes. A lot of kids are denied the right to attend school because they don't have shoes. And so also when you were going into a school, right? If I go into a high school and I go, okay, everybody, let's be kind.
Mhm.
Pretty much you hear crickets. Like, all right, dude,
Right.
whatever. You need
Yeah.
to come up with something creative, edgy, and different. And so we did St. Baldrick's, where they're shaving head for people with childhood cancer. We
Right.
did some other things. But then we set a goal and we pinned the schools versus each other to see who could collect the most shoes. And the cool part is it creates this visual on, like, when you
Right.
see a pile of 5,000 shoes, you see, like, this is what we did. And then we wanted to take it one step further and actually take the shoes and deliver them in Africa, film it, and bring back the stories.
I
And I
like
think
that idea. Yeah.
that's a big aspect a lot of charities and a lot of organizations, kind of forget. So how do you bring it full circle? And then
Right.
when I went to Africa the first time, and seeing not just the need of shoes, but the need in general, I made the commitment to keep coming back. And so now I think I've been to Africa 14 or 16 times, something like that.
Are you
But as
going
an
once a
organization,
year?
we go now we have 4 trips a year.
Oh my
And
God.
so we've sent probably 400, and I think last count was 479
Yeah.
volunteers to Africa since
It's
2009.
it's so
So
amazing, and I think I've hit you. I've talked to you before. Like, if I can ever go, I'm down. But like, I like the full circle aspect because, me being an entrepreneur and self-employed and all that, photography, I get asked to donate a ton of stuff, and I donate money or sessions or whatever I can. Yesterday I donated to Backpacks of America. Kids get backpacks for the
Yep,
first
for
day of
sure.
school. And we never see what actually happens from that, right? Like, okay,
Yep,
or like,
yep,
you donate to American Heart Association. You're like, all right, it goes towards this, but does it go towards that? And
yep,
so
for
being
sure.
able to see that video when I went and actually watched the video, and I don't know which video that was or if that was the first one.
Yeah,
But
if you saw it in the warehouse, it might have been the first one. If anyone's watching, if you type in Roots, no, not Roots, Inspire Hope on Amazon, you could stream it on Amazon Prime. And so if you
oh,
have a Prime
cool.
membership, it's free. So
I'm going to put
just,
it on here.
yeah, Inspire Hope on Amazon, you could watch it. And it
Cool.
actually starts at a school in Gardnerville. And so we collect shoes and we follow those shoes all the
Yeah.
way down. And so you can kind of see the impact and the stories of the shoes.
Yeah, it was super cool. It's inspiring. It was amazing. Like I said, I went in. I had no idea what it was. I remember just buying like 5 or 10 tickets because somebody's like, buy tickets, and I'm like, cool, got it. And then it was just me and my
That's
wife that ended
awesome.
up going because everybody else bailed on us last minute. And but yeah, it was cool. And the thing with stuff like this is that it doesn't feel Reno to me, and it always feels bigger than it is. So one of the things that I wanted to mention to you was like that's how I envision you. And it's been like this since the beginning, since I talked to you at Hatch, since all this stuff is. I've always felt like you were bigger than what we do, almost like celebrity status, but almost like things that people should be getting to, but they don't. And the fact that you're here locally, I mean, you're like a few miles up from me right now. I'm just in Sparkshire and Reno, is kind of amazing.
Well, it's
Where?
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, Reno's an awesome hub to kick everything off, and we all started here in town, and we took kind of a little bit for the last 3 years. We kind of hit pause, not intentionally, but kind of hit
Right.
pause a little bit on our school tours here in Reno to focus more outside, and part of that's a funding issue and things like that.
Mm,
And this year we were planning originally on doing a massive kindness week in October. We had over 40 volunteers volunteered to help us plan it, and then then COVID happened. So
oh,
yeah, so we were planning on doing a massive kindness week ending on Nevada Day, getting businesses, schools, community
right.
events where everyone comes together to just make kindness happen. And as an organization, we're doing more city takeovers. So last year we did 7 different cities where we go in every school, business, mayors, politicians, senators, small businesses, everyone just doing what they can to,
Right.
whether it's global charities, local charities, it doesn't matter what charity you choose. The goal is just like, hey, let's just spread kindness and just take over the city. And so we've done it in so many other communities. Finally, we're like, okay, let's do it big, and let's do it in Reno at like
Love it.
a level that's we've never done before. And then after our first meeting, it was like, okay, business is closing, this is closing, so we might
Yeah.
kickstart it back up, but still we might
I
have
mean,
to have
I think,
postpone it to
yeah,
next year.
I think you need to. I think you have to next year for sure. I mean, is your target demographic of people that you guys focus on and speak to, is it mainly kids, mainly children?
Yeah, right now it's mostly students at schools,
Okay.
and then now we're adapting now to more corporate audiences as well, and so
Okay.
we're creating a new program called Our Kind Culture, and so basically it's going into corporations and creating a
Ah,
movement of kindness within the workplace that
right.
instills employees to be show kindness, and but more on the scientific impact of kindness. So that's kind of what I've been geeking out on
I
is
like that.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of data now behind kindness. UCLA actually just opened the first ever Institute of Kindness, where they have a large multi-million-dollar endowment that's just studying the impact of empathy and kindness,
Okay.
not just on kids, but on adults, but also on business. And so if you can have a kind staff culture, what's that mean to your bottom line?
Right.
And from a marketing angle and things like that. So
Well, it gets them in there. I mean, yeah, if they're like, cool, you can teach a thing here, but like, how does it help our business as a whole?
for sure.
Yeah, I think it's smart. I mean, when you say the word kindness, it feels kind of broad to me. So, what does that dumb down into? Because I know when you talk to kids and you say think kindness, you know, they might think of smiling at people or hugging people or whatever. So what is there specific things that they focus on?
Within the schools, within elementary kids, our goal is to have them focus on all the small things, you know, opening a door, picking up pen, things like that. And we have them write it all down. And the idea within the elementary school is that if they write down every time they open the door for someone, when someone opens the door for them, they immediately recognize it. Right. And they start noticing the acts of kindness. Now, in a middle school and high school, obviously we have to make it a little bit more complex. And so our main goal within a middle school and high school is we create some edgy, creative, and simplistic acts of kindness and things that they can also do online, because obviously everyone's on social media. But the main notion there is to inspire each one of them that they have this passion inside them to change the world within different subject lines, whether it's cancer or humanitarian efforts or you know, rescuing dogs or the environment. It doesn't matter what it is. The fact is that all of us have this desire to make a difference. And our biggest you know, message in the high school is to kind of flip the switch and give everyone a different perspective. And so during the presentation, we have these little tricks that I kind of put out on screen that showcase that within the media, like if I asked you when you turn on the news, you think it's more good news or bad? Pretty much everyone yells bad, right? As we get trained to look at all this negativity, that when we turn around, we look at the world with that same lens. You know, we start trying to find the negative around us. And then for middle school, high school students, they start looking for the negative in themselves. And so, and in Washoe County, I don't know if a lot of the viewers know this, but we were one of the top 5 school districts in the country for teen suicide last year. Like,
no, yeah, I had no idea. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's huge. Where I want to say the last report that was done, like 13% of middle school students said they contemplated suicide. 13%.
Yeah, that's sketchy. I mean, I have a middle schooler, and you know, we've had this conversation with her as well. And you know, when she got mad, she kind of said that whole, you know, I want to kill myself kind of thing. And we froze. We don't know. Do we take it seriously? Do we have to send it to therapy? What do we do? And sadly, like our county at the time wasn't helping.
It's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things that's scary, and it's something you need to address. And that's one of the things we kind of shifted our approach, is saying if we can create a community within a school, they're less apt to bully, they're more apt to seek help, they're apt to want to harm themselves. And I probably get five or six inquiries a year, you know, of students that come up to me after the assembly or through Instagram, they reach out. And so it's a big issue, and it kind of, hopefully with everyone being off, maybe we'll have a new restart to the school year. But if you remember last year, you think of the students at Damani Ranch, Minogue High School, we had one at Reed, one at Hug, like it's incredible. And we needed to come together as a community to show that, that no matter how hard you're hurting, you can still reach out. And usually by inspiring those acts of kindness, in students, one makes them see the good in themselves, but hopefully they also are the recipient of that act of kindness as well, to showcase, there are kids that might be invisible, or they feel invisible in the school. So how do you let them know that they're being seen?
Right. With so many kids everywhere. I mean, that's tough. I mean, I felt like that too when I was in high school, and that was, 18 years ago, 19 years. Oh my God, 19 years ago. And, but I never thought of stuff like that. It was very, but I know it's a thing, and more with the social media, man, more with social media, everything pushing out. It's crazy because they see a lot more than I've even thought of. I was on TikTok and I'm just like, this is literally what they're watching. And so, I hope they ban TikTok so I don't have to be the bad guy.
Right.
Let's pivot here a little bit. I know people are watching this on Facebook, and what's happening is that normally when I do these Facebook Lives, these podcasts for Raw Focus, I have the amazing setup, right? I got the office, I got everything, everything looks amazing. Your setup looks freaking sick. And I know that you messaged me a couple months ago, and you're like, hey, I want to set up this space. You sent me a picture of it. You guys ended up doing this amazing spot. What are you filming there? What are you guys doing?
So we created a virtual assembly set. So like right here, we've got... Okay. Yeah. So in essence, that board would be where we write the school's name on. It allows us to kind of, come back, the camera's a little lower than it needs to. But normally we're standing up yelling, and
Right.
I move around a lot.
Right.
And then on the other side over at I could just turn the camera around. I can give you the quick tour. I don't know. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
So
other people are there.
There we go.
What up?
There's
What up?
Jake.
What up?
So back here, we make all of our own shirts.
Cool.
Right here, we have another little set that we made that at the Innovation
Yeah, I
Center.
love that.
Laser printed colors. We have our idea board right there. And yeah, it's kind of the space.
And then you kind of turned it also into like, is it kind of like is it like a work area? Like God, I used to have one. What is it called? A shared space?
Yeah, so we've just because we have 1,300 square feet, and I call it the solopreneur lifestyle. Everyone at Think Kindness, we look a lot bigger than we really are.
Right.
It's me and a small team of volunteers, and so sometimes it's just nicer to have some other people in the space. And so so Jake over there, he does life coaching for a lot of executives, and super awesome guy. And then we have a video editor that comes in, and then so anyone that's creative that kind of just adds to the energy. That you can also just ping ideas off of. Like we were just talking about, like the international marketing. How do I go and talk to schools in Singapore and Bangladesh and all around the world? And what's that look like? And so it's fun to just toss these ideas when you have like-minded people coming together.
Because we're normally by ourselves anyways. Like I'm by myself all the time, and I built Hatch and closed it, but like that was my whole thing, is like I needed other people around me to kind of push and push and push. Towards the end, I didn't get that, so that's why I closed it. I was like, I feel like I'm just giving information, I'm not getting information, and I want to learn as much as I possibly can. Where exactly are you guys located though? Like where you're on California Ave, right?
No, that's our postal spot.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're on Mill and McCarran. So right by the farms, the UNR farms, right by the.
I know exactly where it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah.
Right by the pumpkin patch.
They're going to start doing some movie nights with goats.
Yeah. So we could throw a tennis ball and hit them. Okay. So and then pretty soon we're going to be one little twist that we're adding. If anyone's watching this, that you have any knowledge, I would love to pick your brain. Is our new approach. As you know, we've been doing shoes, but now we're going to be switching a little bit. The biggest line item at the orphanage is food expense. And so now we're trying to go all in on creating a hydroponic year-round farm at the orphanage. And so that way it requires less food or less water because they have a gravity-fed water system, and be able to manually imagine like watering an acre by hand, right? It's just not realistic. The soil, and then also the climate year round. And so as well as teaching the general skill to the kids, like, hey, this is what you could do, create a business, maybe actually create some income. And so we're actually going to be, we have some outside ones that we're testing right now, but then we'll be creating some indoor ones to test out a scalable model that we could implement in orphanages around the world. And so pretty soon we're going to have in our office year-round farms. Not massive, obviously, but like, stuff like that. And then the produce that we get raised in here will either go to a school or homeless shelter, people in need. Yeah. So
that's awesome. I have a small herb garden in the back, and I'm killing it right now. Tons of basil and no mint. I have to get mint. I was visiting the old stone house, gift and garden. They're over off of Toll. And they actually have something built in the back, a year-round like flower garden, herb garden that he kind of built. And I think it actually works out really, really amazing. He might be somebody that you want to talk to because they've been doing it for a few years. But I remember seeing that in the winter. We did a winter shoot there, and they had a bunch of stuff growing in the back, and it was freezing outside, but it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's freaking money, dude. So, all right. Are you married?
I am. Yeah. Married, 2 kids.
And 2 kids. That was my next question. How old are the kids?
One is 2.5, and one just turned 6.
That's right. I knew you had well, in my mind it was a newborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our kids are pretty close because my youngest is 2. How are they doing with everything now? I mean, we're when everything happened with the whole quarantine and the shutdown, I started this podcast, and all of my podcasts were all about that. Like everybody was just freaked out, scared, and all that. You're kind of my first one that everything feels like we're getting back to normal. At least everybody's getting used to what's happening. How are your kids doing, especially the older one who is in first grade, going into first grade?
Yep. Yeah.
How's life?
Obviously first graders don't quite understand it all the way, and our kids went to Little Flower Catholic school.
Oh yeah.
And we opted next year we're going to be doing homeschooling, so we're going to try
Cool.
our hand at that.
Who's teaching?
My wife April is, yeah. So which is going to be. I warned her. It'll be interesting, to say the least.
What does April do? Like, what does she do besides that?
She's educationally, she's an esthetician by trade, but right now she stays full time with the kids. Okay. And then once the other one's in school, she'll probably go back to work. But right now she's full time with the kids, so that helps, cool. Right? Yeah. And so, but for the way that she's handling, our biggest thing as a parent, and for me being so involved in schools as well, is on the social aspect. So how do we maintain the social aspect that normally you would get in schools? And so what sports or programs or things can we put her in that will still allow her to experience totally new things? So we could take the money that we were going to be putting towards the school to do that, because at the end of the day, I have a feeling that most schools are going to go virtual next year, is my gut feeling. And so rather than just waiting for the storm to hit, so we're just kind of going at it preemptively. But the way she's handling it is great. Obviously, she wishes she could go out, and she's bummed when we go to the park. She's like, "How come I can't go down the slide?" You're like, "Well." Right. And then there's times where like no one's around, go ahead, but yeah. And so, but I don't think they quite understand it yet. Right. I definitely feel we're blessed that we're able to have April stay home with the kids. My heart goes out to all the parents that, single families, single parent families and stuff like that.
People need to work. And yeah, I mean, like my scary thing about the whole, teaching at home is I'm not a teacher. Like I'm not a teacher. My wife's not a teacher. I have no idea how to go around that aspect, I don't have creative ways. I watch all these movies where this amazing, Rain Man type teacher comes in and has this new way of teaching kids. And I'm sitting literally like, what would I do with my kids? And so that's actually the scariest thing for me. And like you were just mentioning, Lindsay and I both have to work to maintain our family and our lives. Otherwise, we've already signed that contract for that mortgage and all that fun stuff. Yeah. And so it's scary.
Yeah. And it's hard, our biggest notion and my biggest, point to make sure that we don't overlook as a family when you're teaching at home is to be able to separate yourself from the teacher role to the mom role, and being able to switch that hat. And it's really easy if you're getting frustrated because they're not paying attention or whatever it is, and having the patience, but not letting one cross over to the other. And so that's hard to kind of to separate the two. Right. And if you're really frustrated here, there's got to be a time where you shut the school door and now you're fun mom, right? And so, or vice versa. Like if, they're not cleaning in the room, you're not going to carry that same frustration into when you're working on reading, whatever it is. So it's just being very cognizant of the roles you play, so it doesn't hurt the relationship between, child and parent.
I mean, yeah, and we had to find a way for the kids too to kind of know that difference, right? Where they're not like, for sure, mom, dad, or whatever. I mean, I know the little homeschooling that we had towards the end of the year. Luckily, Doral was really, really good with it. But I mean, I had to have luckily being a photographer and a tech geek and all that. I'm the same sure as you. I have laptops, iPads, iPhones. I have things everywhere. So when they have to go on Zoom and do that stuff, me having 3 kids that are in school at the same time, I can't imagine any other families if they had 3 or 4 kids that are in school and then all of a sudden they all have to Zoom in one day. That is the scariest thing ever. And like, I just don't know how people can do that. So I'm hoping that it kind of goes to the future of whatever's going to be happening. So, I feel virtual learning is going to be kind of the new norm for a while. And I think a lot of people will feel it might be even easier. Yeah. I mean, I wish I had that option when I was a kid because I would have graduated earlier because, I think my senior year, I just had one class. That was kind of it.
It's going to be an interesting time. And the biggest thing, like I just recorded a podcast we have a teacher and principal podcast, and on how to create a resilient team, and how principals can equip their team to be excited about the adversity they're going to have, and I think parents and us as a community and a society need to embrace it. Look, there is not a perfect solution, and there's going to be bumps, big bumps, from the whole COVID thing to the election to everything else that's going on.
Right.
But how do we approach this with excitement versus fear? And I think there's a big difference in that. How do you enjoy the journey that you're going to take as a family and as an individual to explore this uncertainty, go through the ups and downs, but at the end we'll all be stronger. And so it's shifting that mindset for everybody on how do we collectively say, okay, yeah, we're going to battle this, but we're going to own it and we're going to come out on top. And
I think it's a pivot. We have to pivot. Sure. And, I mean, this is life. I mean, we got comfortable. Everything worked the way it is. And now things are being revealed and coming out. So, I mean, it's just like anything else in life, but we're all doing it together, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, and we're all going through it together. We all have each other's backs. Reno as a whole is an amazing community, despite what people think is happening division-wise. We're an amazing community. And when we all work together, we're going to come out. And I have faith that, it's not going to be easy, for sure. Like, there's no perfect solution. Like, it's whether you go back to school, you don't go back to school, or whether this happens, that happens. There's not a right answer. But the one answer that I can say is the right answer is that, hey, if we do maintain this positive outlook and we come together and we have this collective confidence as a city, that we're going to come out on top at the end. And hopefully we're the ones that take advantage. And as a business owner, and you too, there are people out there that are finding the opportunities amongst the chaos, and they're actually going to be way better off than when this whole thing started, right? There's families that are going to be closer together than when they started. And so how do you approach it with that lens? Be like, there's opportunity here, whether it's having more opportunity to be with yourself and to get outside and do this stuff, or to be with your family, or to explore new business ventures or side hustles. There's an opportunity here for everybody, but it's finding that, being excited about the bumps and the ups and then downs that will happen. But I guess that's my view on it.
I mean, where does all this positivity come from with you? I mean, like, I know people are positive. I can be positive, but every time I talk to you, like, there's no negative. Like, you find the happiness in everything, the kindness in everything, if you will. Like, so it's obviously a passion. It's not just a business. Like, where does this keep coming from? Especially now, like with all the riots and the protests and people losing money and businesses and all that. How do you keep that going? Because I think it's important for people to kind of listen to this part too. I mean, we have to stay positive, but how are we staying positive? Bless you.
Yeah, there you go. For me to say I'm always positive is definitely not. It's definitely not the case. I get stressed, and my mode when I get stressed is to work really hard and to find those opportunities. Right, I get focused, and so that's usually my outlet. Like, my wife will know when I come home, and I'm just like, no, I got to get this. I'm worried if this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And so am I nervous about what the future? Yeah, 100%. Like I said, at the very beginning, normally I've got 48 schools signed up by now minimum. Yeah. And now we have like 6 or 12, whatever the count is. And
that's a percentage of it. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it's a fraction. And so am I nervous? Yeah, but I also have faith that everything will work out if I if we mean well and do well and so on and so forth. But I think when you look at everything that's going wrong with the world right now, you can't help but be a pessimist, right? You can't help but look at it with that negative eye. But if you look at everyone that's still going out and doing the remarkable things, you can't help but still be an optimist, right? And so I guess you get to choose the attitude that you want, and it's not easy. Like I said, there's a lot of times where I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I should hit pause on the whole speaking thing and move into the corporate world. Maybe I should put out some job applications, have the job security, which would be awesome.
I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm like putting things. I don't, every once in a while, I'm like, I'm a 36-year-old photographer. I've been doing this for 12 years. And what if this doesn't sustain? So I have the same feelings you do. Like, maybe I should find something that I can go get a secure paycheck and do whatever. Not have to pay for my own insurance, stuff like that. So I feel you on that, man. As
an entrepreneur, that's like, I want to say that's probably one of my biggest battles is the uncertainty on the entrepreneur side, especially now everything's changed. Like before I didn't have to really market. Like luckily I've been speaking for 10 years. I'm kind of on this like roller coaster, which has been great. And, which I felt I was comfort right now. It's I'm marketing for the first time in a long time. But that's, I've reached out to 2 or 3 local companies that have jobs. I'm like, okay, I would be the perfect person for that. And giving them, I always look at it like, I will give you the opportunity to maybe convince me to move over to what you're doing, and this isn't, and I'm open to it. Cause there's enticing parts of it on paycheck, insurance. You know what I mean?
It's just, we think of something differently when we have families, but I mean, like, the thing I like about entrepreneurship, solopreneurship is there's no cap on what I can do or what I'm allowed to bring in. If I fail, it's on me. But like, if there's an opportunity for me to do whatever, I'm the one that gets it all rather than somebody else getting my work. And that's the biggest thing for me. I always have to go back to that. But there's a reason that more people work for somebody else than work for themselves. It's just a lot hard, but I mean, being able to kind of turn that around and know when you're being negative to yourself and then being positive, I think is key. But that pivot was was a huge thing for us this last few months.
And that's like, we want people in the office, because there's sometimes where you go and you close a big deal or you do something and you're like, but then you look around and you're like, all right, now the celebration's I'm the only one in the room,
Right.
And so you minimize your success, and when someone else should be the cheerleader, be like, dude, that was awesome. Like, getting really personal. Right now, we hit a huge success. If you go into any grocery store right now, and you go buy a bag of Frito potato chips, you'll see a Think Kindness logo on every variety pack of Frito potato chips. Right. What? And so every single bag, 280, I think, million bags of chips around the country, 163,000 in-store displays from coast to coast. Each bag features an act of kindness. Each bag features our logo. Huge deal, right? But I have to admit, like, I was skeptical that it would actually go through, because I'm not one to like celebrate too early. But then when I got and signed the final contract, when we got the revisions, I was like, yes.
Right.
But then you're looking around and you're like,
I'm just by myself.
I'm by myself.
Wait, how does that work with you guys? Or how does that work? What do you get from it?
So they're going to be making a donation to Think Kindness up to $250,000, and for every bag of chips purchased. And so, and then in turn, for us as an organization, can now create more curriculum and programs. Our goal is to create more a scalable model versus the assemblies, but actually create curriculum that schools from around the country can use, from the graphics to the design to the curriculum itself to the videos, that's engaging and edgy and fun, but creates more sense of kindness and inclusivity and stuff like that within schools. And so they're making a donation. It'll hit next year.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So as of right now, they wanted to obviously link their brand and reach with back to school. And obviously we were originally anticipating a massive back to school campaign and tour and and I feel horrible that everything kind of like has shifted a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm glad they're still doing it. I'm glad there's still,
For sure.
there's so many people have been pulled out from everything, and almost given up for this year. And I mean, we still have half the year left. So, we can't really waste that time, but that's amazing. Congrats on that. I'm going to go, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to eat Frito-Lay chips, but I'll go buy some
You
for the
can,
kids.
yeah, you can buy it, give it away. Tell them that each bag has a kindness challenge. Like, okay, here you go. You gotta go do
Right.
that one, before you get the bag.
That's the way to do it.
I'm gonna go buy like 400 bags of them. I think tomorrow or the next day. I'm just gonna videotape a video blog of me just going downtown, homeless, police departments, fire
That's
stations,
awesome.
just canning them out. So it should be fun.
That's and that's a beautiful thing. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's just like self-branding, but congrats on that. So what I like to do is we have about 7 minutes left here, which just turned off. What can we do to help you guys, help you as a business? What can we do? How can I push this out a little bit more to make your 2020 a little bit easier?
Let's see here. Well, number one is obviously I'd encourage everyone to go out and just spread kindness wherever you're going.
Right.
That'd be awesome. Let us know. Tag us on Instagram. I'd love to tell the stories. Number two, if you do buy a bag of chips, take a picture, send it to us because we're trying to put out more stuff there.
Cool.
But that's more surface level stuff. If you really want to if anyone wants to get involved in the organization, where we have a couple board seats open for anyone that really wants to roll up their sleeves and get involved and help us plan the future. Obviously, when that donation hits the organization, we're going to be able to really plan and strategize, which is super exciting. And I don't have all the answers. And so we're adding a couple board seats of people to help advise the next direction of Think Kindness,
Awesome.
which is great. We're also opening up a youth board of directors. So if you have a teenager that they'll serve an 18-month term, they'll actually get a say in some of the areas that we go. And then they'll get a awesome reference letter and something that goes on their resume that probably no other high school student will have, is that they served on a youth board of directors of a national nonprofit organization. And then if you're wanting to anyone has old shoes, we'll take old shoes. If you want to go to Africa, let us know. We have a couple of trips. We're adding Jamaica here soon.
Dude, I want to go to Africa.
Well. Yeah, well, hopefully we want to film a little mini documentary on the whole hydroponic thing. So maybe we could get some great photos for that too.
Heck, yeah, seriously. I've literally been, I haven't been, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Hawaii, haven't been anywhere further out. The plan was always to have kids young and then travel a bunch. My wife's just scared of traveling. That's literally her fear. So now I have to go by myself everywhere if I go, but I've never gone anywhere by myself. But no, I love stuff like that. And, I've always, that's how photography kind of started for me, was to make a difference. And if I can use it to do anything, that's really all I care about.
Yeah. So, and it tells the story. And I've got a wall of all the pictures of the kids. We took a picture of every single kid in the orphanage. We gave it to them. The orphanage didn't even have a mirror. Some of these kids have not seen what they look like outside of their reflection in a car window.
That's crazy.
And then we handed them a picture. We went and found a local printer and we're like, hey, can you print 500 pictures? They're like, yeah, and you give a kid a picture and we give them 2 copies of themselves. And oh my gosh, the way that their eyes were just whoa. I mean, you get to experience that when you give someone a picture of themselves.
We did.
We
did a thing called Help Portrait. I did it for 3 years here. It's a national, it's like a campaign. I don't know what it is, but it's one time a year. It's not really a nonprofit, but we photographed homeless families and printed on the spot and gave it to them. So we did it for 3 years in a row here. And then I just stopped doing it. So nobody else took it over. But it was amazing. Yeah, we had a local printer come on site. We would take a professional picture, have somebody edit it, print it, and give it to them. And it's the first time that they've ever had a professional photo of them taken, or maybe even a family photo taken together on any device. And so, being able to deliver that, and they kind of oh my God, it was crazy. It's stuff like that we take for granted every single day, taking a smartphone picture, a selfie or whatever. And a lot of people around the world have, no idea that it's doable.
Yeah. And it's something easy. It's something quick, and it makes a big impact, And so, and that's my biggest message is every single person listening to this, you have some skill that the world needs.
Right.
You have some passion, and whether that's, making bracelets, painting pictures, singing songs, writing poetry, everyone has something that can just be that little sunshine that our world needs, especially right now.
That's a huge message. I do, yeah, I do believe, like I fell into photography, and I wasn't a photographer, and I made it my own. What does is this a generic question time? What does the next like 5, 10 years look like for you guys, for the organization? How does this keep scaling up?
So for us as an organization, number in the school market, we wanted to develop year-round curriculum for schools.
Right.
We've already pilot tested a couple years worth, but now we've kind of identified the structure that works. So we can go in and basically, like when you're in high school, you had student council. Our goal is to basically create kindness teams in elementary and middle schools that have the sole purpose of inspiring kindness, and for us to provide those kids with all the resources, having 3 years of school-wide kindness challenges, posters, graphics, videos, parent letters, everything for every month of the school year. So that's what we notice creates the biggest change in school culture. So number one, 5 years, I want to see at least 250 to 300 schools, if not more, sign up for that program.
Wow.
And then in a corporate side is really moving into more corporate audiences as well, where we can kind of take that structure but corporatify it into how can we create corporate kindness challenges and create these kindness teams within different workplaces. And then lastly, the third pot is to really ramp up our global side. We got 90 acres of land donated to us in Ghana, and so we're working on building
Wow.
schools and things like that. And so just kind of see that kind of come into fruition and go.
That's crazy. That's huge. My goals are not like that. Um, that's awesome. How did you get it's a village you got donated to you?
Yeah, so the Ghanaian government has noticed kind of the impact that we've made, and even the amount of they've noticed a difference in like the health of the communities that we're working with. And so one of the tribal leaders there donated 90 acres, roughly about 90 acres of land,
Yeah, that's insane.
for us to develop. So we've already put up a girl dorm. We just got the mail, and now we're probably about maybe 3 weeks away from the volunteer center. So when our volunteers go, we'll actually have our own volunteer space for our volunteers. And then originally we had a couple NBA athletes that were supposed to go with us on our July trip, but obviously everything got canceled.
Totally, yeah.
That we're going to be helping put up some basketball spots there, and bringing more awareness. And so yes, we got that, and then they also allowed one of our board members. He actually kind of got like a Ghanaian green equivalent of a Ghanaian green card really quick, as a driver's license, just goes right through. They made him and myself a chief. I'm actually a Ghanaian chief, and so so we got the whole registry and everything. So when we go down, feel really weird being, yeah,
There's like royalty now. That's amazing.
Yeah, so they've really supported what we're doing, and now we have a couple organizations that we're looking at in Tanzania, and then also in Jamaica. We've partnered up with Devon Harris. He was the original. I'm sure you've seen Cool Runnings, the movie.
Yep.
So he was the original captain of the Jamaican bobsled team. So Devon and I, he also is a speaker, got connected. We were both speaking and keynoting at the same event. And then so now we ended up, again, we had all of our volunteers. We had to cancel it, but we're going to his school and his village that he grew up in. A lot of people equate Jamaica with, cocktails and beaches, but there's an immense amount of poverty there. And so it's closer, it's cheaper for us to go to, and we can still make a big impact. And so we're partnering up with him so that trip got postponed to January of next year.
Holy crap. That's amazing. Yeah, man. Like I said, if you need help with any of that stuff, my number is the same. Cool. Dude, thank you so much for doing this. I know it's 3:00 now, so I'm gonna let you bail, but I appreciate you taking the time. When I started this, you particularly were one of the people that I really wanted to do this because of such a huge impact. Like I said, I still do like a very big vision of you when I think of you, and some people you kind of are like that. And I don't know if it's when I was early in my career and kind of just learning all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, how cool would it be to travel and do this and make an impact and all that. So I totally appreciate you taking the time out today
Thanks.
to hang with me.
Yeah,
What
appreciate it.
do you got going on the rest of the day?
I am actually about on my way. There's to a guy named Sam Hart. I don't know if you know him. He
Uh,
makes he's a woodworker. Like
okay.
his woodworking projects are many. I want to learn how to make a river table. I don't know if you've
Oh,
seen it,
what?
but
What's a
basically it's
river?
called a river. So if you
Okay,
type in the
river.
word
Okay.
river table,
Yeah.
basically it's live edge epoxy. It looks like there's a river running through your
Oh,
desk,
yeah. I've seen the
right?
things on YouTube, right? Like a blue
Oh
epoxy or
my,
something.
yeah. So I've been geeking out on how to do it. You know, that's
Right.
kind of like I like doing woodworking as just a hobby, and so he makes them and actually sells them. And I'm like, dude, can I just like be a fly on the wall when you're doing one?
Yeah.
And so he invited me over today to be that fly on the wall. And I'm super pumped. So I'm going to go learn how to make a river table, and then go home, be with family. We're going up to gonna go hang out the rest of
Dude,
the day.
that's awesome. We'll take some pictures of all that stuff. Yeah, we're going vacation next week, so it'll just be to Tahoe. It was supposed to be Disneyland, but that got closed down. So I'm
Yep,
ready to
yep,
get away for a week, dude. All right. Thank you
yeah.
so much, man.
Awesome.
Enjoy your day, and I will chat with you soon. I'll touch base with you on everything.
All right, take care.
Later, buddy.